Hello YouTube, Bardic Monk here, and today we're going to be taking a look at how I create my tokens, specifically how I prep them for printing before I cut them out. I had a few requests to do this, and I just wanted to deliver this in as quickly and as succinctly as possible so that you can just jump into this video, learn exactly what you need to do, and then jump back out. And I hope that this helps somebody out. Please let me know if this helps you. So here we go. First things first, I do need to show that I am using 8.5 by 11 inches at 300 DPI for printing this out. This exact same process can be used for A5 paper if you are overseas and using that. I was using this process to make stickers for my students in Japan, and I had a lot of success with it. So this does travel between both sides of the pond, so you shouldn't feel the need to worry about whether this is going to work on your home printer, regardless of which location you're in. I'm hoping that A5 standardized throughout the rest of the world like everything else that's not American. So tell me if I'm more curious. I won't be able to help, I guess, but this should transfer over to any other paper sizes that you're printing on. So yeah, just let me know if I'm somehow missing another standard size of paper. I'm also not counting B. I don't really use B size paper at the time. I just had an A size printer and just bought A size paper and sticker paper. So it seems to be the standard over there when I was there. So anyway, moving on. Everything's going to be 300 DPI. We're going to make sure that we're creating these canvases at these sizes. This is the sheet that I created for my first video where I was creating tokens, and this was just the setup that I had on my sheet. What I have here, just to explain, I made sure all the squares took up as much space as possible for what I needed, what I thought I needed at the time. What you're looking at here is essentially a safe area to print in, so I'm making sure that we just have a cutoff at roughly here. This might be an extra half an inch on either side I could play around with in the future. So I'm learning along with you. I think the best way to teach anybody, the best way to learn is to teach people. So this is what's working for me, and I hope it works for you. First thing we're going to look at is how I create these dials that I use for a reminder on which phase we're in, and if I started as an alter ego or a hero. This is how I ended up making these. First thing I do is go into the view. I do turn on the grid, and I click on the grid settings. I'm going to center it here. So now this is the center of the grid. And while it doesn't really matter for the token specific canvases, it does matter for the larger one, just so you have everything centered and you can place everything accordingly. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to fill this canvas with black, and then I'm going to cut out the center so that way I have essentially a hole punch. I also have to make sure that I magnetize this so that way that it's going to pop in size as I drag from one vertex to the next, or from one intersection to the next one. So I make it the whole 2 inches, and then it just cuts a hole in the center. So that way I can use the magic wand tool later after I post an image below, and I'm going to select this layer, magic wand the center, and then select the bottom layer and then cut out the image from there. And that's my process. So I selected on this layer. Then I am making sure that I have the refer only to the edited layer. If you just select the only the edited layer, you should just get the cut that you need. You'll select the second layer, and you'll hit Control X or Edit Cut to cut out the image. I immediately delete the image and paste it back into its own copy frame. And I now have the circle that I need to paste into the other image. So for here, I am making sure that I show the grid. I'm going to center the grid, and then I increase the sizing of this so that I can start making for 8.5 by 11 inch paper. I'm using a 1/4 inch circles to size my prints. This is specifically so that you can tell the printer, I need to make, in order to make sure this is not being resized and that this is the correct size, they have it set at 8.5 by 11, and the image should take up the whole image, but you're only printing, I think at most, half of each of these circles. And it's just a precaution more than it is an actual step for the design. It's more for spacing. The other thing I'm going to do right now is improve my my spacing, my bleed for this. So this is the cutoff. Anything within this black is going to be printed. And what I'm doing is clicking selection area and shrinking my selection by 5 millimeters, and then deleting that. So now I have an outline of like anything that fits in the square will print. So I'm just going to grab this, I'm just going to paste it in here, and I'll just adjust it accordingly, just so that there's spacing here. Now for this one, I'm using the 1.5, 1.5 inch. So I'm doing the same exact process where I'm just grabbing an image to edit. And this one, it's just Mary Jane and Peter. And most of these are just like tokens for things that are necessary, like for reminders more than a utility purpose, as far as like the image itself matters. So that's just how I'm changing the sizes. And then specifically for the squares, I just made the 1 by 1 inch squares, and then I just made a design for that size. For this, again, exactly how I made the cutouts is how I made the circle in the center. I just made the attack image here and made sure that it, I color coordinated as I explained in the other video. I did color coordinate it so that I know which thing stops attack and which thing stops thwarting or scheming by color coding them red and blue. But for this, for creating any of these tokens, I just made a 1 inch by 1 inch canvas, designed everything in here, and then I just cut out of here to paste on the actual board. So now this is what my 3 images would look like on this page. And my solution to having to make, to cut down on the amount of black that I'm using for these printers is I'm going to add an outline to all of these. I'm showing you what they would look like if I had a whole thing set up here for what we're trying to outline. And what I do is I get all these images created, and I now have, because I've copied everything, several layers. I'm going to select all of them that I need to put into one image. Not every single one that's available. Like I want to keep the spacers and the cutoff, the bleed cutoff, separate. So I'm trying to just make sure that I'm only working on these tokens, and I'm going to create an outline for them. So I want them all in the same layer. So now they're here, and I just move the cutoff to above it. So now anything that's like the cutoff or anything that's going to be not image related is up above the layer for all the images that are available. And the next thing we're going to do is go to layer properties. We're going to click the button for border effect, and we're going to, with black selected, make the outlines black, and you'll see exactly what their sizings are. And this is good for if you have precise cutters. I think like if you had a Cricut or something like that, this would be enough. But if you're cutting manually like I am, you want to adjust the thickness of edges, and I think 0.5 is enough for me. And with this, I'd be able to cut all these out as I need them. And essentially, that's everything that I needed to make my actual tokens. Things to note for anybody who wants to know this: these are the Amazon, not exactly links, but what I searched for in order to make my tokens. I'm making these on magnets that are cheap and usually not reviewing very well, just because they're cheaper to buy, and I don't need them to actually be magnets. I just need them to be weights. And instead of going to a hardware store and buying washers and stuff like that at larger prices, I am just going to Amazon and buying like cheaper magnets. So these are the 1-inch ones. I do have the 1-inch squares that I was using, the 2-inch large round circle magnets as well, and lastly the 0.8-inch, which is what I've been using for the 3/4 inch miniature tokens that I was using on the board. I hope this is helpful to somebody. Please let me know if I kind of butchered this or something, but I will gladly update this if necessary. I hope that this answers the question on how I size things on my Clip Studio Paint image and how you can use that for any of the Photoshop adjacent programs that you're using. Thank you all for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, wonderful evening, and most of all, stay positive.